deep in the Alaskan wilderness, where the mountains rise like jagged teeth and rivers cut their way through endless forests. A battle unlike any other was unfolding. This was no ordinary mining season. It was not just about digging up gold from the earth. This was about legacy, pride, survival, and an unimaginable fortune. Two of the fiercest miners of modern gold rush history, Parker Schnabel and Rick Ness, were locked in a head-to-head contest over a claim that could change their lives forever. The number alone was staggering. $85 million worth of gold was hidden beneath the ground, buried for nearly a century, and whispered about in hushed tones by locals who believed the land itself was cursed. The story began with an old, forgotten journal. The brittle, yellow pages dated back to the 1930s, filled with strange hand-drawn maps and coordinates that didn't seem to make sense at first glance. Parker stumbled upon it almost by accident, but he quickly realized what it meant. The journal hinted at a motherlode of gold, one so rich, so pure, that entire fortunes could be carved out of a single quartz vein. But the words also carried warnings. Miners who had once sought the claim never returned. Some had vanished without a trace. Others had barely escaped with their lives. The journal spoke of tunnels collapsing, of sudden floods, and of an ominous curse that seemed to haunt anyone who dared to dig too deep. Parker knew legends and curses were part of mining folklore. But what really caught his eye were the coordinates. They led to a place few had ever explored, a stretch of land so rugged and remote that it had been overlooked for decades. If the journal was right, this was more than just another claim. It was history waiting to be rewritten. But Parker wasn't the only one who caught wind of the secret. Rick Ness, his old rival and a miner with just as much grit and determination, soon intercepted part of the same journal through his network of contacts. Rick realized Parker had a head start, but that didn't matter. The second he learned about the hidden claim, he made up his mind. He would not let Parker take this fortune without a fight. Whoever controlled this land would walk away with tens of millions of dollars. The wilderness quickly transformed into a battlefield. Parker assembled his crew with precision. Geologists, surveyors, drone operators, everyone was called in to verify the claim. Soil samples came back rich, magnetometer readings lit up with promise, and LiDAR scans revealed underground formations unlike anything seen before. It was a jackpot waiting to be unlocked. Rick moved just as quickly. Instead of relying on big teams at the start, he formed alliances with smaller crews, scouts who could slip into the area quietly and gather intel. He kept his moves hidden, monitoring Parker's supply chains, fuel shipments, and heavy machinery deliveries. It was a silent chess game where every decision mattered. A missing shipment could delay an operation for days. A broken machine could mean losing ground to the rival crew. Rumors soon began to swirl. Parker suspected sabotage. His dredges groaned and malfunctioned under strange circumstances. Steel cables snapping without clear explanation. Rick's portable sluices failed at critical moments. Hoses mysteriously kinked and pumps refusing to start. Was it just bad luck, or was someone tampering with their equipment? Neither man could be sure, but suspicion gnawed at them both. Some even whispered about a third player in the shadows, an unknown prospector manipulating events to their advantage. The first breakthrough came from Parker's crew. His dredges tore into the ground and unearthed small, but incredibly pure nuggets. The assays confirmed what the old journal had hinted: this land held gold, unlike anything found in Alaska before. The purity was astounding, and the potential value was astronomical. But Rick was not far behind. Working under the cover of night, his crew sampled adjacent veins. They'd have found gold veins so promising that they could rival Parker's claim. The race had truly begun. Nature, however, had its own plans. A sudden flash flood roared through Parker's excavation site, forcing his crew to scramble for safety. Equipment was damaged, operations halted, and the old legends of a curse felt more real than ever. But setbacks did not stop either crew. If anything, the danger only heightened their determination. As days turned into nights and nights back into days, the rivalry escalated. Drones flew overhead, mapping every ridge, monitoring every move. GPS trackers gave near real-time updates on rival positions. Fake dig sites were planted. Dummy markers hammered into the ground to throw the other crew off the trail. Surveillance and deception became weapons just as vital as dredges and excavators. The Alaskan wilderness itself seemed to feed the drama. Thick fog rolled in at night, masking movements. Shadows flickered among the trees, caught on motion-triggered cameras, leaving both crews on edge. Was it wildlife, or rival miners sneaking in? Every sound, every crack of a branch set nerves on fire. The rivalry was no longer just physical, it was psychological. Then came the discovery that changed everything. Parker's team unearthed a network of tunnels carved nearly a century ago. Dust rose as beams of light cut through the darkness, revealing timbers still holding, though creaking under the weight of years. The tunnels led deep into the mountain, where rich quartz veins shimmered faintly in the glow of their lamps. The deeper they went, the more dangerous it became. Walls shifted, rocks fell, and the air grew thin. But the promise of gold kept them pressing forward. Rick countered with his own strategy. He brought in ground-penetrating radar, scanning the earth for hidden veins. His data revealed another treasure trove, a secondary vein running parallel to Parker's discovery. The two networks of tunnels seemed to converge, suggesting that the fortune could be even bigger than anyone imagined possibly. Over $150 million if fully excavated. Both crews pushed forward, each day bringing triumphs and disasters. Parker's dredge cable snapped violently, nearly crushing his men. Rick's engineer was pinned during a tunnel collapse, forcing a desperate rescue. Each event reminded them that this wasn't just about money. Every move carried the weight of survival. The gold itself was breathtaking. Nuggets gleamed in the light, each one a tangible measure of risk and reward. Every bucket of ore hauled to the surface felt monumental, but it also carried fear. The tunnels were unstable, water seeped through cracks, and the ground trembled with hidden tremors. A single mistake could bury millions of dollars and lives forever. And yet, neither man gave up. The deeper Parker's crew went into the tunnels, the more dangerous things became. The wooden beams, placed there nearly a century ago, were never meant to last this long. Some creaked with every step, others cracked under the pressure of shifting rock. Dust rained down from above, reminding everyone that the earth was not stable. Still, Parker pressed on. He believed the old miners had stopped short of the real jackpot, and he was determined to find it. Each passage smelled of damp earth and history. The air was heavy, carrying the musty scent of old timber and stone. Light beams from their headlamps caught small flakes of gold in the rock, glittering like stars in the darkness. It was a breathtaking sight, but it also made the danger even more real. Every man who stepped inside knew they were risking their lives for this treasure. Yet no one backed down. Rick's strategy was different. Instead of going deep at first, he used technology to map the land above and below. His ground-penetrating radar revealed shapes and formations that looked like massive quartz pockets. These were places where gold might be trapped in huge amounts. He didn't need to risk lives in collapsing tunnels right away. He wanted to outsmart Parker, to find another way in, a way that would let him get to the richest parts first. But Parker's team was relentless. After weeks of careful digging, they struck something extraordinary. A pocket of quartz so dense it was unlike anything they had ever seen. Embedded in it were veins of gold shining so brightly it almost didn't look real. Assays later confirmed what Parker already knew: the value of this one discovery could be worth $85 million. His crew erupted in cheers, their hard work paying off in the most dramatic way possible. Rick was not far behind. His scans led him to an adjoining vein, one that connected to Parker's discovery, but stretched into a separate tunnel system. When his men broke through the rock, they'd have found glittering veins of gold. This wasn't just one fortune. It was two, connected but separate, with the potential to make both men incredibly wealthy. But the discoveries brought new problems. The tunnels were fragile, and the weight of the ore being pulled out made collapses more likely. Reinforcements had to be built quickly. Steel beams were carried in, scaffolding erected, and conveyor systems installed to haul the gold out without breaking the tunnels completely. Parker's camp worked around the clock, pushing machines and men to their limits. Rick responded with his own methods, using helicopters with sling harnesses to lift heavy crates of ore over cliffs and rivers, creating a dangerous ballet in the sky. The wilderness around them was unforgiving. Snowmelt from the mountains flooded low areas, turning solid ground into mud. Landslides tumbled down ridges, threatening camps and equipment. Engines froze in the cold nights, while daytime heat cracked hydraulic lines. It seemed as though nature itself was fighting back against their efforts. Then disaster struck Parker's crew. A dredge cable, strained from constant use, snapped without warning. The steel whiplashed across the site with a scream, sending rocks and water cascading dangerously close to his men. For a terrifying moment, it seemed lives would be lost. The crew froze, hearts pounding, as the chaos settled. Miraculously, no one was killed, but the damage was clear. The operation had been pushed too far, too fast. Questions flew: was it simply wear and tear, or had someone tampered with the equipment? Rick's camp wasn't spared either. One night, as his men worked under the cover of darkness, a portable sluice failed without warning. Water spilled, pumps sputtered, and gold samples were nearly lost. At first, it seemed like bad luck, but then fuel lines went missing, hoses were swapped, and supplies turned up damaged. Sabotage was no longer just a rumor. Both Parker and Rick suspected each other, but there was also the lingering fear that someone else, an unknown rival, was lurking in the shadows and playing them both. The paranoia grew stronger with every passing day. Drones buzzed constantly overhead, cameras recorded movements, and decoy dig sites appeared everywhere. Parker's men left fake markers to trick Rick. Rick's crew set up dummy sluice lines to confuse Parker. The line between reality and deception blurred. Accidents no longer felt like accidents. Every broken machine, every missing part, seemed like part of a larger game. Despite the chaos, the gold kept flowing. Parker's men pushed deeper into the tunnels, uncovering chambers filled with quartz veins that shimmered like treasure chests. The history of the place was undeniable. Old tools, rusted lanterns, and collapsed supports told the story of miners who had been here long ago. Men who had left behind their unfinished work. It felt as though Parker was walking directly in their footsteps, picking up where they had failed. Rick pushed his own limits, using radar maps to guide stealthy operations. His scouts slipped into unexplored sections, pulling out or samples quietly before Parker could reach them. Each nugget confirmed that the fortune was real, and every small success made him more determined to outdo his rival. The tension reached a breaking point when Parker's crew stumbled upon Rick's men deep in the tunnels. In the foggy glow of lanterns, shadows moved, and for a brief moment, the two crews came face to face underground. Shouts echoed off the walls, equipment rattled, and the threat of physical confrontation hung in the air. Both sides backed down, but the message was clear: this was no longer just a mining race. It was a war. As if to remind them of the real danger, the earth shook. A minor tremor rippled through the tunnels, sending dust and small rocks crashing down. Walls groaned, beams splintered, and for a terrifying few minutes, it seemed the tunnels would collapse entirely. Both crews scrambled to reinforce supports, digging emergency exits, and hauling men out of danger. It was a brutal reminder that the gold was not theirs yet, and nature could take it back in an instant. Still, neither man quit. Parker doubled down, installing reinforced conveyor belts to carry the ore safely to the surface. His men tested and retested every beam, every sling, every machine. Rick countered with helicopters, daring pilots to fly in stormy weather to lift crates out of danger. Every maneuver carried enormous risk. Gusts could flip a load of gold into the rivers below, or worse, bring a helicopter crashing down. Yet the crews pushed forward, driven by ambition, greed, and pride. Then came another disaster. Torrential rain swept through the valley, turning slopes into rivers of mud. A massive mudslide crashed into Parker's primary zone, burying machinery and blocking tunnels. Weeks of work vanished in minutes. Rick fared no better. A flash flood tore through his camp, sweeping away equipment and forcing him to improvise with whatever remained. By now, exhaustion was etched into every face. Men worked on little sleep, nerves fraying with each passing hour. Arguments broke out. Some wanted to slow down and focus on safety. Others demanded speed, insisting that if they didn't grab the gold now, they might lose it forever. The crews were no longer just battling each other and an earth, they were fighting themselves. Yet even in the middle of disaster, the gold shone brighter than ever. Pockets of ore glimmered in the lamplight, veins stretched farther than expected. An acid suggested the claim might be even richer than anyone believed. Some estimates put the total value at over $150 million. If the veins were fully tapped, the rivalry escalated again. Night operations became common, lanterns glowing faintly in the fog as figures moved silently among the collapsed passages. Crews laid traps, built decoys, and played mind games. Every tunnel became a battlefield. Every discovery carried the weight of history. And then, at the height of the storm, Parker made his biggest breakthrough yet. Deep inside the tunnels, past creaking supports and unstable rock, his crew uncovered a motherlode of gold embedded in quartz so pure it shimmered like fire. In the lamplight, the assays confirmed that this pocket alone was worth the $85 million promised in the old journal. Parker's crew cheered, their voices echoing through the tunnels. The taste of victory finally within reach. Rick refused to surrender. Guided by his radar maps, he pressed into an adjoining vein and uncovered his own treasure. The two fortunes, though separate, were linked. forming a network of gold veins that spread across the mountain. The discovery was so large it was almost unbelievable. And yet, both crews knew the truth. The gold was real. The danger was real. And the battle between them was far from over. The discovery of the mother lode changed everything. For Parker, it was the confirmation he needed. All the rumors, all the legends, all the danger, it was worth it. $85 million in gold was no longer just a myth. It was there in front of him, glittering under the harsh glow of mining lamps. His men ran their hands across the quartz veins, pulling out chunks of stone heavy with gold. Each piece felt unreal, like holding pure sunlight in their palms. But as the excitement built, so did the pressure. With that much gold sitting in unstable tunnels, the risks grew greater than ever. The walls groaned with strain. Dust fell like snow from the ceiling, and water seeped in through cracks in the rock. It was as if the mountain itself wanted to keep its treasure buried. Parker knew that one mistake, one wrong calculation, could bury not just the gold, but his entire crew. He pushed his men to reinforce the shafts with steel beams, installing conveyor systems to move faster, and building temporary dams to divert water. Every hour was a battle against nature. Rick, on the other hand, saw Parker's success as both a challenge and an opportunity. His adjoining vein was rich, maybe not as concentrated as Parker's pocket, but still loaded with gold. His crew began hauling ore out in crates, each one strapped to helicopters that hovered dangerously close to the ridges. Pilots fought gusts of wind and swirling fog, balancing the precious loads like tightrope walkers in the sky. Every successful lift felt like a victory, but every wobble carried the threat of disaster. The stakes were higher than ever. And then came the accidents. Parker's dredge winch, already strained from weeks of non-stop use, finally gave way with a scream. The cable snapped, whipping through the air like a deadly blade. Rocks and debris tumbled dangerously close to his men. For a moment, the entire crew froze, staring in disbelief. The winch was ruined, the dredge crippled, and weeks of work hung in the balance. Parker stormed through the site, demanding answers. Was it simple mechanical failure, or had someone tampered with the equipment? The suspicion burned hotter than ever. Rick's camp faced its own nightmare. During a late-night operation, one of his engineers was pinned beneath a cascade of falling rock after part of the tunnel wall gave way. Alarms rang, shouts echoed, and men scrambled to pull him free. With beams groaning above them, they worked like surgeons under fire, lifting debris and shoring up the walls as fast as they could. The engineer survived, but the incident shook the crew deeply. It was no longer just about gold. Every man knew that at any moment, the mine could become their grave. Whispers of sabotage grew louder. Motion-triggered cameras caught shadows moving in the tree line. Supply shipments went missing. Fuel hoses were switched, leaving machines sputtering to a stop. Neither Parker nor Rick trusted the other, but the possibility of a hidden third party made everyone uneasy. Who else could be out there, watching, waiting, playing both sides against each other? Paranoia became part of the job. Drones patrolled the skies, scanning not just the land, but each other's camps. The koi dig sites multiplied. Rick's crew planted dummy sluice lines, complete with fake gold flakes to lure Parker into wasting time. Parker responded by leaving tracks that led to empty pits. The line between work and warfare blurred. Each move was a gamble, each decision a test of nerves. Through all of this, the gold kept coming. Buckets of ore sparkled with promise, each nugget proof of the fortune hidden beneath the mountain. But the tunnels were becoming more unstable by the day. Minor collapses rattled Parker's men, sending showers of dust down from the ceiling. Rick's tunnels groaned with the weight of crates being hauled out. It was a race not just against each other, but against time. Everyone knew the mountain would not hold forever. And then, nature struck again. Torrential rain swept through the valley, pounding the ground with relentless force. Rivers swelled, mudslides roared down slopes, and Parker's main extractions on